Hola, Sheldon. We are back on an unusual time slot because we have to catch up on one episode of the Challenge War of the Worlds.
A little late, but still here. It's all right.
Well, and we
No
warned
problems.
people, so I don't feel bad. I'm not going to get weighed down with Canadian guilt about it or anything.
True. Nothing wrong with that.
Let's introduce ourselves. I'm John Chidley Hill,
And once again, my name is Sheldon Alexander.
and this is You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge. Like we just said, catching up. Thank you to our listeners for understanding that I had to go to Mexico last week because my life is very hard. I can happily report that my friends Andrew Mowbray and Katie Hinks got married. The deal is done. And now I'm back in Canada. It's snowing. And most importantly, I'm talking with you, Sheldon, about the challenge.
The challenge. Sometimes it takes a while to get me sucked back in. Sometimes, when I look at the cast being as massive as this cast is, sometimes I think this is going to be a very long season, and I hope they don't stretch it out. Despite the fact that this was a traditional, normal challenge episode. Just back to basics. We got an actual challenge. We got some house drama. And we got an elimination round. Classic challenge episode. And those things make me happy. So I'm here for that.
Yeah, I love that. It was just like a classic, straightforward episode. Picked up on some themes. It's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It basically picked up where episode 1 left off, right? Like, they had where they all paired off, and it was announced that Josh was going to be teaming up with Amanda because her partner, Alain, broke his arm. Josh was the loser of the guys, of the newbies, of the rookies. And this episode picks off where Josh is arriving in the house. Like, it's maybe 30 minutes later, depending on how long their commute was.
And I know I mentioned this on episode 1, but I can't stress it enough how annoying you will find Josh.
Oh.
Like, Josh is such an interesting character, interesting human being, and the thing that interests me the most about Josh this season on the challenge is it possible for him to be more annoying than he was on Big Brother? Because the thing with Big Brother was because it's CBS, right? So they might be drinking, but you're not really seeing them drinking. You know what I mean? Because it's like normal network TV. So someone might actually answer you back. Also on the channel, someone might actually punch you in the face.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm interested to see that. Like, this is a guy who would walk around trying to troll the people who are on the block. He would try to walk around by banging pots and pans, like following them around the house.
Oh my God.
While banging pots and pans, like in their head, just yelling at them for no reason at all. So, while also not being a good game player, right? That's the other thing, which we'll get to, but that was also a big theme of this episode, I thought, was what is Josh doing?
Well, I can already tell you that he annoys me immediately because he's a classic example of what I always complain about, that he bellows. Like, it's the classic Big Brother bellowing in confessional. Like, are they all hard of hearing? Mm-hmm. Just use your indoor voice. Yeah. It's fine. And he's and he always sounds congested, so it's even worse.
Fair enough.
As soon as he gets in, he's sort of making the rounds, saying hello to everyone. All the Big Brother people, including Paulie, are very excited to see him. And so by de facto, he's sort of the Big Brother and the Big Brother Alliance, and by extension, Cara Maria. And Cara explains to him that she hates Amanda because of last season's horse-killing comments. As you'll remember, that's how I put it down in my notes. As you'll remember, maybe I should get more specific. During an argument, between Cara and Amanda told Cara that she hopes her horse dies.
Amanda is such an interesting character to me. She's so funny, but also, like, I feel like normal Amanda seems funny and seems like a very good person, but I find it so obvious when we see the Amanda that has had a couple drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you can see it in her face, and the attitude changes and it becomes so salty, so petty. I feel sorry for her actually, right? Because it's just not a good look, and she seems like normally just such like a good person, and so it's like where's the line, right? Like where does the line turn from okay we're having fun to okay now I'm mad and I'm just gonna fight everybody?
Yeah, Amanda doesn't know how to like handle her reactions. And that's a classic example.
And especially when everyone here is just trying to push her buttons, and it's so obvious, right? Yeah. It's so obvious to everyone but her.
But we'll get.
But anyways,
we're going to be talking about Amanda and Josh a lot today. I'm just trying to get some check marks on our little to-do list here. We also have Hunter and Georgia talking strategy, and we went from like a brief moment of incredible self-awareness with Hunter because he says he's not good at the political game, and then is completely off base because he says that his path to success is laying low, which is not correct. Hunter does not know how to lay low. Never once has he laid low. Like his first season, he like immediately put a target on his back. Because you remember he won a competition and like started screaming and said, "I told you athleticism wins competitions," and like no one had disputed that. And then he called out Corey, and Corey was like, "I don't understand. Like we've never spoken before. Yeah. Why is he saying me specifically?" So I was like, as soon as Hunter said that he's not good at the political game, I'm like, okay, cool, he's learning. And then he immediately showed no awareness. But we also learned something, and that is Hunter and Wes are allies. And the way it was framed, it sort of sounds like Wes reached out before the show began. Like it's sort of the way the confessionals went, just the way it was phrased, it sounded like Wes realized Hunter was on the show and reached out to him, introduced himself, said, you and I don't like bananas. We've never met. But if you go back and, you can look at my resume by going back and looking at previous seasons of the challenge. And you know what? I think that's a great alliance. I think that was a good step by Wes, an improvement for Hunter and his usual group of idiots like Corey and Nelson. Like, Wes is a big step up for Hunter. And
no, it's a great duo because Hunter is really good at challenges, right? And he isn't good at the political game at all, whereas Wes is pretty good at the political game, but also it's just a numbers thing, right? And once you find that there's someone else that you have a common enemy, and plus Wes is coming into this game after a couple years off of being in the actual challenge, numbers are key. You actually see Hunter's pretty successful in this game. He gets close to a final and then almost breaks down. So if you're Wes, it's good to have one of these young bucks on your side to go at Johnny Bananas when you know that Johnny Bananas is going to go at you anyways. So you might as well team up with someone like Hunter. It just makes sense from both sides. And yeah, you're right. Hunter is never low-key. Hunter is never quiet. And Wes, the other level to the genius move here is Wes is putting someone over him. The target is probably bigger on Hunter than it is on Wes in their alliance, if you really think about it. So that also kind of makes it a great move by Wes as well.
I also think it's smart that Wes handled it, early on. Got that alliance squared away. Maybe they figured it out at the airport to Namibia. I'm not sure. But there's something to be said. I don't know. It's, I guess, unseemly is the word, to be trying to square away your alliance right off the hop, first night running around trying to build an alliance. If you have that one rock solid alliance sorted out immediately, that's probably for the best, right? It's a better look, totally. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
No, totally makes sense. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. And it's one of those things where heading into the challenges now, because you don't know what the game is going to be like. So once you make all those decisions ahead of time, there's less wiggle room, right? For other things to come in and interfere. because you make your alliances before you find out what the game's even about. That means now you're going to have or in theory, unless you're Josh, you're going to have the numbers on your side in terms of whoever that person's partner is as well, right? So it just becomes a very interesting move and a smart move, I think. But let's get to the actual challenge, because this challenge was interesting. I didn't watch the episode until later on in the week. I didn't watch it right when it aired. And it was funny because I was talking about it with someone I work with, and they said they didn't really like the challenge. So I don't know if I liked it because I went in with lowered expectations, but I still thought it was okay, right? Basically, it was a tug of war, right, John?
Yeah.
And you had the teams were split, and what was the terrible name? Arms are getting tired.
Arms are getting tired.
That is so terrible. And I like that they acknowledged how terrible it was, and they all like laughed at how bad it was, right? But that was just like some producer behind the scenes was like, I got it. We should call it this. And they're like, really? All right, sure. But anyways, so basically it's a tug of war, and it's a 400-foot long rope. And on either side, it's basically had to last for 5 minutes. It's essentially an endurance challenge at the end of the day, right? Because you're going to do a tug of war for 5 minutes, and the rope runs through a car. And essentially, at the end of 5 minutes, a monster truck was going to run over all the cars. They were going to add up who had the most length of the rope between you and your partner, add that together, and the team with the most ropes wins. The top 3 teams would end up in what they're calling the tribunal this year. Mm-hmm. You also end up being safe from elimination, and you get to take control of the game, whatever that means, right? Essentially, we end up finding out what that means later. But in terms of right now, that was the setup of the game. Basically, the vets, they got to decide who they got to go against, and that was based off of how they finished in the last challenge. So I thought that would be an advantage, right? Meaning you could look at the weaker team, who you deem to be the weaker teams, and then decide, yeah, I want to go against them because I want to win. But instead, John, the first couple picks, Paulie picked Kyle's team, right? Davon picked Jenna because she said they're on the same height, same weight. They think it's pretty even. And of course, we know that Paulie's picking Kyle because of their beef. And then Bananas takes Wes, obviously because of their beef. None of these people actually tried to go against who they would deem a weaker team. What did you think of that strategy? Do you think that made sense?
I think the problem was there's 2 problems. First, you have everyone is pretty evenly matched. Like, who would be the weakest team, do you think, at this? Like, Leroy and Shalene? Or but Leroy's really good. You know what I mean? Like, there's no...
Yeah.
I think the teams are pretty even across the board. The other thing is, okay, I feel like no one really figured out the strategy for this game.
I also think, too, you think that it's the strongest person, right? So you might look at who's a juice bag, Ashley, right? And think that, like, oh, man, he's really strong. But I'm going to go out on a limb and guess he has no endurance.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that side of it too. You might be looking and thinking, okay, well, that person has no endurance, so I'm going to go against them. You could think of it in that sense, right?
Yes, but it's not just about endurance; it's about technique. Like, you see,
obviously, yeah.
You see a lot of people who are doing like these full body, like big hauls. But I think the thing to do, and it's hard to do, is that you're trying to use like your arms and just have like a constant reel going, because it's really a race. Because once like it gets taut and like there's no more give, then it's a true tug of war, right? And so like you want to get as much on your side before the actual tug of war begins. And then some guys, I know this, after like in the first round, a lot of people just like held on and tried to like grind it out and like hold on to what they had done, like with the slack that they'd pulled in. But in the second round, I thought Theo was really smart, and he started to keep pulling the rope a bit further, like, because he's super tall, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And was pulling it, and it seemed like CT, Zach, and Leroy followed suit, but I think they gained maybe an extra inch, maybe a couple extra feet. by continuing to pull and try to muscle it over to their side. But I definitely think for that first bit where you still have slack and it hasn't been pulled taut, you just got to be going for like small short strokes and like just get as much over to you instead of like these big long pulls that like full body actions that a lot of people were going for.
No, I think that's true. That makes sense. I think also too, this challenge the thing I found weirdest about this challenge was the fact that we had no idea who actually did well in this challenge by just watching it.
No, we had no sense.
Right? Like you couldn't really tell. You get no sense of who's actually doing well. So this could have been edited so crazy. And because we know there's so many close-up cutaways, we know that they sorry, I don't want to get too inside like TV production, but like the close-up cutaways, right? When you're seeing these close-up shots of people tugging on the rope, like those are all fake. Right? Like we know that the camera, like they probably did the chat, or before they did the challenge, they like go in front of everyone and they're like, okay, we need you to pull, right? And like, do you do that type of thing? But the way that it played out, the way that it was edited together, we literally have no idea who did really well, how they did really well. And so when it was announced who won, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. It was weird. And the other part, the monster truck.
Yeah.
Like that was just there because TJ could drive a monster truck, right?
Yeah,
like there's no purpose to that other than letting TJ drive a monster truck.
Well, I had this question for you. So they had the monster truck, but that wouldn't necessarily like stop the tug of war. You know what I mean? Like, sure, it crushes the car.
No, of course not. It did nothing.
But the rope could still possibly move. So like they clearly just like, because they had like music going and everything, they clearly like blew a horn and people were supposed to drop the ropes and then the monster truck went over.
Yes, totally.
Because, like, it wouldn't actually stop shit.
No, not at all. Not at all. Overall, though, it was kind of funny, and you're seeing... I felt like we got a healthy dose of Johnny Bananas in this episode in terms of confessionals.
Yeah.
And he was coming in with his scripted lyrics.
Yeah.
Right? His written rap, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of funny. Kyle... We're not getting a lot of Kyle yet, but I assume that drama's going to pick up. But the Kyle and Paulie thing's still going. But I did find Kyle funny in his confessional with his partner, Maddie, where he said, yeah, they're probably a better team than us, but if we do win, we're going to have a naked group hug in the shower.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, Kyle? Stay you, Kyle.
He's true to himself. And it's like, she laughed. Like, she thought he was funny. So,
yeah,
as long as she's still laughing.
Do you? For sure. What did you think, though, of the teams being picked? Like, Johnny Bananas getting to go against Wes right away. It seemed like the cast members were fired up about that. What did you think of that move, or did any of the other pairings catch your eye?
Honestly, none of the pairings caught my eye. And people, like... The cast were like super hyped for Bananas versus Wes, as they always should be, because it is the rivalry on the show. Or maybe more accurately, Wes versus Johnny, Kenny, and Evan, J-E-K. But we can't see that anymore because Evan and Kenny aren't on the show. But, like, presumably, you know, Johnny and Morgan made the tribunal. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Johnny beat Wes. Right? Like, it just means that Johnny and Morgan beat Wes and... What is his partner's name?
Oh, I just wrote down Ninja.
Right.
She's a ninja warrior, right? I think Natalie?
No.
Did I make that up?
He's not with Natalie. He's with the Australian, isn't he?
No. Not. I think her name's Natalie as well, I think.
Oh, man.
Although I could definitely just be making that up.
That's going to be a problem for us. We need to figure this out. But...
That's why I called her Ninja.
Well, fair enough. But you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a true Johnny versus Wes competition. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, though, it's still a call-out. It's still Morgan against, whether it's Johnny versus Wes and their partners, it's still a Ninja Warrior champion against Morgan.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, either way you slice it, this should come down to, do you know what I mean? Like the fact that Johnny won, or Johnny and Morgan won, it's still kind of like, oh, okay. Like I was kind of shocked by that outcome. No,
I was surprised. Johnny is not looking as fit as he once did. You know what I mean? Like he's getting a little more barrel chested.
Okay.
He's still fit, but like I'm not sure he's as fit as he once was.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting because I think that I was watching the NBA All-Star game. LeBron doesn't look the same anymore, and I'm not calling Johnny Bananas LeBron, but if we're, grading on a curve, right? Like it happens, and it's bound to happen. And I feel like we might get, and this is my assumption, obviously I know absolutely nothing about what happens on the season, but watching it I kind of felt like we're getting a lot of Johnny Bananas now early because this might not be a long run for Bananas.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like if we've learned anything from the past few seasons, it's that the numbers are not on Johnny Bananas' side, and he's always going to be a target. So without the numbers on his side, you got to get all the Johnny Bananas one-liners in early.
Yes.
Because it might not be a long stay.
Sorry, I gotta say, it's Wes's partner is Dee, and she is from Geordie Shore.
So who's the Ninja Warrior girl?
That is... Put me on the spot here. Why can't I see her? That is Natalie Duran. Natalie D. So there's D
Okay.
and
So
Natalie
whose partner?
D.
Hold on. So whose partner is that?
That...
Now I'm really confused. I'm going to go back now
That
to
is
my notes from
Pauly D. That's Pauly's partner.
Paulie's partner. Yes. That is my bad. I apologize. There's people listening right now that are like yelling at us like, what are you guys talking about? It's like, listen, okay?
That's...
I'm going to make excuses for myself. I'm going to say that there are a lot of new people on the show. A lot of people on the show. And you know what? I'm not investing time into getting to know any of these people until they make a decent run. So, especially like, what's homeboy's name? Gus from Florabama Shore or whatever his show is.
I like the idea
I'm not
of
investing
Flambora
time.
show.
Flambora Shore?
Flambora Shore?
But, right. Florabama Shore, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
My point is, though, not investing time into getting to know this guy until I need to. There's enough entertainment to be served up by our regulars like Ashley, like Hunter, Paulie and Kyle have become regulars now.
Yeah.
Like there's enough there before I need to, invest time into getting to know Turbo.
Yes. Who apparently is like, I've been watching, they keep having these like, meet Turbo, meet Natalie D, meet Josh segments on like Instagram. Okay. And apparently they're all terrified of Turbo.
Wouldn't you be? Turbo looks like the bad guy in like a random season of Ray Donovan. I was like, yo, this guy is scary. Of course you're scared of him.
Have you seen that video?
No, I have not. And I don't know if I want to.
She's doing like spinning front kicks to celebrate doing well in competitions. Like,
this is exactly my point.
And like, he looks, I don't know how old he is, but he looks old. Like, it looks like he has old man strength, but that he's like still wiry in a way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All of the above is true.
And he probably does
all of the above is true.
You know how like,
hold on, the dude looks like that, and the elimination round this season is called the killing floor.
Yeah.
And my guy's doing like spin. Come on, man. Nah. Sorry, Turbo. I'm gonna be at one side of the house. You could be at the other side of the house.
But
and that's about it. I'll give you a head nod. Give you a what's up. That's about it.
You were also telling me before that they were all weirded out by him when it was just like the rookies in that tent waiting because he just like went to bed. Like, it doesn't seem like he's partying. Like, Turbo's not here for the party. Turbo's here for carnage.
No, he is not here for the play. He is just here to like destroy people.
Yeah,
destroy human beings.
I love it. I'm into it.
Yeah. Overall, this. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, we got way off track, and then I knocked you off track. Continue with what you were saying.
That's all right. I don't even remember what I was saying. I was just going to say that we found out who ends up winning said challenge, right?
Yes.
So Cara and Theo, they won again. And here's the thing: so Cara and Theo, Bananas and Morgan, and Josh and Amanda won. Okay. Now, I mentioned you couldn't really tell who was winning by watching this challenge, right?
No.
And that point was further emphasized, I think, by if you went back and figured out who they went against, which I did, because I just thought to myself, I was like, wait a second, who did these teams go against again? Just for my own memory's sake. And then now I'm going to ask you, would you be surprised, like knowing that it's a tug of war, are you surprised that Cara and Theo would beat Hunter and Georgia?
No. And it's like I said, I was very impressed with how Theo sort of thought outside the box, but
that's after the fact. I'm talking about like heading into it. Like if you just said, because remember I was saying my point at the very beginning was none of these teams like tried to pick like who's the weaker team, so to speak, right? So I'm saying before you saw Theo's like, you know, using his head on how to do a different type of strategy, if I just told you tug of war, Hunter and Georgia against Theo and Cara, what would you have thought? Who would win?
Honestly, you're gonna think that I'm just like retroactively bigging myself up, but I think Theo, I think Theo and Cara are so athletic.
Okay.
Right, like Theo was the track athlete for the for Team GB. Like he's gonna be legit.
Okay. I'll give you that, and I'll continue to ask you as well as the listeners this as we go along. So Bananas and Morgan beat Wes and see who I thought was the Ninja Girl at the time, but I was clearly wrong. It's not the Ninja Girl. So I would have thought that Wes and the Ninja Girl would have beaten Bananas and Morgan, but obviously I'm wrong. I'm wrong there. But Josh and Amanda beat Nani and Turbo. Does that not surprise you?
That surprises me because first of all, I'm terrified of Turbo. Second of all, as much as I love Amanda, I think she's smart and I think she's athletic, I think that this would not play to her strengths because even though she's athletic, she's maybe 120 pounds.
Yeah.
And
no, for sure.
And Nani, also fit, is just like taller and more muscular. So,
yeah. No, I was surprised by that. I can't even.
And like,
but anyways,
Josh just looks like he's no Turbo. Is all I'm saying. Like, if Turbo looks like a James Bond villain, Josh looks like the guy who doesn't get a name on the Navy SEAL team that accompanies James Bond that gets killed off the hop. You know what I mean? Like he's got the big lantern jaw. And is a big dude, but he's got no toning. He doesn't strike me as super athletic.
No, not at all. Definitely not at all. He's better suited for the sitting around the house of the big brother, right?
Yes.
So anyways, as mentioned, the 3 teams in the tribunal, they now get to make the nominations, right?
Yeah.
And the nomination ceremony is always very interesting because it's always a numbers game, but it's also about who happens to take charge. And Bananas right away takes charge in a sly way, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He walks in and he says, all right, I'm guessing everybody has names that they don't want to say. Who are those names?
Yep.
And Amanda right away says, Ashley and Hunter. To which Bananas' response is, okay, so me and Cara are going to pick those 2 names. It's like, what? It was so good, and I don't know if that's how it actually played out in real time, but at least the way that they edited that conversation together, master manipulation by Johnny Bananas, by saying, okay, fine, we'll just force you to pick another, but you're 2 people that are more we know now, which they probably knew already.
Yeah.
But we wanted you to say it, right? So then we can say, okay, well, we're putting in those 2 people.
So
I thought that was funny.
I thought it was brilliant, but the other thing that I have to say that I don't fully understand is what exactly was Amanda's play here? Because she should know better than anyone that you can't effectively have an alliance with Hunter and Ashley in it. Right?
True.
From her perspective, she had to pick one or the other. And I like Amanda. I think she's smart. but like, take a step back and like, in what world are you going to be able to ride that lightning?
Do you know what you have to try to do? Two things you need to try to accomplish. At least try to get in one team that you dislike.
Yeah.
You got to try. I don't know if that's going to happen. And I guess it did. But you got to try to get that. But you got to make sure that you and your partner at least are on the same page. Because you got to go in there explaining to Josh, hey, those two teams are going to be against us. And this is us.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that we are at least on the same page. And Josh kind of appeared to be on her level in this. But as we find out later on, he clearly wasn't. So something went wrong somewhere along the line, right?
Yes. Well, you know what? You make a good point where I think that Amanda really failed to communicate with Josh.
Yeah.
Because, like, that scene that we described off the top of the podcast where, you know, Josh is in the house and he's, like, reuniting with his big brother people, and Kara's immediately in his ear about the horse killing.
Mm-hmm.
They still had the bus ride from, like, the set to the house. Amanda should have been right in there, right? Like, it should have been like, hey, Josh, how you doing? This is the room you're going to be... Like, you know what, like...
No, I totally
should
agree
have,
with that. And
like, taken control of... like, started spinning his view of the house off the hop. And to his credit, although he's admittedly not good at the politics game, like, Hunter, off the hop with Georgia, was like, hey, FYI, I fucking hate Ashley. Like, here's, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta get in your partner's ear. Just, like, I was thinking about it as I watched it today.
Well, there's two problems for Amanda, right?
Yeah.
One, I mean, maybe three problems, because one of the problems is Amanda sometimes becomes her own worst enemy. But other issues here for Amanda is Josh isn't familiar with the game, right?
No.
He's not familiar with the challenge and how the challenge works. So you have to tell him about the game and how the game works, but then you also have to explain to him the alliances and how that part of it works, right? So he might think, oh, well, Kara's pretty nice. I like Kara. She's cool. Or I know Johnny Bananas because he's the most famous person on the challenge. Cool. But as you just said, the way that Hunter explained, hey, here's my beefs, here are my allies. I don't know if Amanda had that conversation with Josh or at least convinced him, because here it is. You might not like your partner, but regardless of what, you and your partner have to be on the same page, because you're not going to go very far in the game. Or, I mean, you could end up like Ashley and Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Where, cool, you do make it far, but then one of you ends up screwing the other one in the end. So you're better served to be on the same page with your partner, which clearly they weren't. But did you find it weird as well? Oh, I was about to skip a part, which I definitely can't. I was about to jump ahead, but I definitely can't skip ahead. But anyways, so as mentioned, the two people that Amanda mentioned as the names that she can't say, she indeed ends up saying in a weird way. And Ashley's team ends up going up, and so does Hunter's team. And then the last pick, I guess, ends up being Amanda's, and she picks Zach's team, right? That's basically how that played out.
Yep.
But I thought, like, those three teams, like, after that deliberation, it was kind of a waste to then have that whole weird, like, judge scene. I found that kind of odd.
Yeah, I didn't...
Right? Like, that thing was kind of weird.
I didn't like that set.
It just seemed like a waste.
I don't like the set. Like, it's too intense, which is weird.
It is a bit much.
And, like...
Hold on. I have a question for you. For you. Where are they? Like, where is this being filmed?
Namibia.
Did they show that?
Yeah.
Like, I totally missed.
Well, they haven't.
I've been wondering. I'm like, where? Hold on, where are they? Like, I have no idea where.
It hasn't. They haven't been very explicit about it, but it is Namibia because Johnny Bananas had a T-shirt made that he was wearing on the flight that said, like, Namibia calls and I'm answering, or something like that.
Wow, you're good. I did not catch that.
In fairness, they haven't been super clear about that. Like, because like in previous seasons, like I forget which season was in. I guess it was Dirty 30 was in Cartagena, Colombia, and like TJ Lavin said it like every single episode. Like, here we are in beautiful Cartagena, Colombia, and he said it every single episode. Yes. They have not done that this season.
Because I bet you they like got money from like the tourism board of that country or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that was part of the deal or something. Who knows? But sorry, I interrupted. Let's get back to this weird Judge Judy type set.
Well, the thing
right?
is,
I don't know what this was.
I can't see any situation where anyone is going to talk, like, change people's minds.
For sure. This basically is just a setup scene to have people talk shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's all it comes down to. And the funniest part to come out of it to me was how polite Zach was and how overtly he was just like, whatever my partner says.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, is a far, far cry from what happened last season when he's partnered with Amanda. And it was just an epic, epic troll job, right?
And also,
I love that.
Can we take a minute here to talk about Zach's shirts? Because he's coming with the Hawaiian shirt game super strong. Okay. And I like it. Like, I think it's a good, fun look, practical in the heat. And Amanda basically said that he was a pussy for wearing that shirt. And I was like, that's not nice. Like, what's wrong with a bold print, you know? Like, and also,
I'll be honest, I feel like Amanda's just going to take any shot that she can because she just seems like super angry because she doesn't have a lot of allies, and obviously she's still super salty about how last season with Zach played out.
Yes.
Right? So I think she's just like, is this shirt really that big of a deal? No, but she's going to take any shot that she can because, yeah, that's just where she's at. That's what I think, anyways. Did you find it funny, Ashley coming in trying to get any type of sympathy at all, knowing that basically you have no chance?
Yeah.
Right? Like, Johnny Bananas and Cara are not taking you in, regardless of what she has to say, right? Same basically goes for Hunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just found it weird. The whole scene I found super weird. Other than Zach, I found Zach to be hilarious.
Yes, that was Zach at his best. Here's my thing. And I feel like we talk about this every few episodes of You Killed It. But Johnny's strategy is always the same. And Wes touched on this in Confessional after this, that what Johnny always does is he tries to get numbers, and he doesn't do his own dirty work, which is it's obviously worked as a strategy. But what he does is he comes in with his solid friends, and he just tries to pit people who are potential adversaries against each other until he just has crushing numbers, and then cruise to the end, right? And then let the chips fall where they may for the final 4 or 5 people. And that's clearly what he's doing, right? And Amanda walked right into that when he said, so, what names do you, will you not put up in under any circumstances? Okay, that's who's going in.
Because the smart play for Ashley and Hunter as well would have been to make up secretly, no?
Yeah, but there's no way. There's no way that they're going to sort that out. They're both too hot-headed. They're too... it's also in their personalities. What I think is funny, and, this is life. This happens. But, they were a couple once. Right?
Yeah.
It's weird to think
Yeah, we talked about that last season.
Yeah, it's weird, but just still weird to me to think that these two have had sex, and they fucking despise each other. And, hey, that happens. But
I think it's not. What's the old saying? The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, they quote-unquote hate each other, I've always said, even going back to last season, I stated it on this podcast over and over again, there's still a lot of sexual tension between those two.
Yeah. Right?
And that's part of the beef, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, fair enough.
In my opinion.
Fair enough.
Yo, the cutaways of Amanda while she's watching Zach be so nice to his partner, the evil death stare she's giving, it's so funny. And oh man, it is amazing. That was the only thing that saved that scene.
It also...
That and Morgan, because... Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. It also gave me the sense that Zach had done exactly what we'd wished Amanda had done with Josh. That it's clear that Zach had said to Zahida, I hope I said that correctly, because I'm bad with pronouncing names.
I'm definitely practicing to learn her name. I enjoy Zahida. I like her so far. I like her energy.
He definitely said to her, like, hey, by the way, I'm going to let you take the wheel on this and state our case just to rub it in Amanda's... Like, you know what I mean? Like, he definitely got her on the same page as him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then he knows, too, that they're not going to snap back. Or Amanda even isn't going to snap back at her because she has no need to snap back at her. She doesn't even know her yet, right?
Yeah.
So it was a very smart move, all in all. It made their trip into this Judge Judy set a little less hostile.
Yes.
Right? Because if Zach's saying something, Amanda's going to go at him. Chances of him saying something back to her, then it could escalate and become a thing. But instead, no, I'm going to have Zahida talk. Introduce you guys to my beautiful partner. Let her,
Yeah.
be the face of our organization. I like it.
And then
smart call.
There's a brief strategy session with Wes and Hunter sort of going over the blow by blow of the tribunal. Also, this is definitely Wes trying to understand how the game is going to work. Right? Like this, it's not just Wes checking in with his partner, with his alliance member Hunter. It's Wes trying to be like, okay, like, how's the voting work? What's happening? Because he knows that his nemesis, Johnny Bananas, is getting first-hand experience. And Wes needs to at least try to match him step for step in understanding how the game unfolds. And that's the beauty of the Bananas versus Wes rivalry, is that they're both very smart, strategic thinkers. And they always come at problems from different ways, but they both understand that the challenge broadly is about the game within the game. And, like, figuring out the game theory and getting to the heart of, like, it's not just about numbers, right? Like, it's about, in this instance, it's not just enough to win a competition. You need at least one other team that you can, like, get down with in the tribunal with you, right? And, like, you have to be on the same page with your partner. Like, it's not just, like, go win a competition. It's a lot more complicated. But this is an important scene because Leroy, ironically, had suggested to the entire group, to the entire cast, hey, we don't know, like, we know who the tribunal is gonna, the tribunal can vote in one of these three teams. But we don't know who they're, in turn, going to face. So, like, everyone, like, stay on your toes, aside from the tribunal members. And so Hunter, when speaking to Wes, says, like, hey, if I have to go in, I might call out Leroy because he's Johnny Bananas' good friend.
Number one ally,
yeah,
for sure.
And I like
He's
Leroy.
Number one ally in the house.
But, like, we can't let Bananas run those numbers up. And it's sound thinking by Hunter, but Leroy can hear him. Like, Leroy's clearly walking back and not even trying to hide. Like, for sure have those conversations, but be aware of your environment, Like...
Yeah, I found that pretty funny. But here's where the gameplay really starts kicking in, because Leroy knows, and he kind of knows how to poke the bear of Hunter, which kind of happens a little later on. But in terms of taunting, we see more of that even happening because Amanda is now trying to huddle up with Morgan, which I don't really know what her MO is.
I know what her MO
with this conversation.
I know what her strategy here is.
But it makes no sense. Like, why are you, like, you have to know that obviously Morgan picked to be partners with Bananas, right? Mm-hmm. Bananas steamrolled, and he's the one that had, he took the lead in the entire nomination ceremony. Cool. You going to her and trying to tell her, oh, he's a bad guy, or you shouldn't trust him, or you should speak up, like, that has no effect. Like, that serves no purpose, right? Like, she is obviously going to trust him because she picked him as a partner for a reason, right? She picked him as a partner to have him take the lead, right? She doesn't know what she's doing in the game. So obviously that's what she's going to do. It just made no sense to me. And also, the worst part, Amanda's drunk.
Well, I was going to say, that's the MO. She's got she's got Jack Daniels in her ear, pumping her up, and like, you know, this happens. People get the drink in them, and suddenly they think they have to solve some issues that have been bothering them. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I guess I think, like, it originated in Amanda trying to clear the air with Morgan. Like, I feel like she froze Morgan out at some point earlier. I was trying to explain,
okay.
like, no, I was mad because, like, A, Banana sucks. B, it seems like you're just, like, going with the flow. And, like, I don't like that. Like, I like leaders.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And then, of course, becomes more interesting because Bananas then comes out in Kara's shirt that says, "Not today, Satan," and then makes a cross out of two hangers and goes on this whole Bananas type, you know, I'm going to create a scene type of thing, which was over the top, but served the purpose in, you know, I guess, hyping up Amanda even more, which in turn then hyped up Hunter even more, right? And this whole thing, I wonder if this was all one conversation, or I wonder if like this was all like the way that we saw it was out of order, because it just seemed kind of weird how it all took place. Because Hunter just steps up to Bananas and he's yelling at Bananas for some reason. They're going back and forth, yelling about nothing, and shouts to whoever it was it the dieseled Ashley dude that was saying, like, these guys are yelling about stuff that happened, like, 13 years ago?
Yeah, he's right.
Who cares?
He is right.
It was so funny. It was funny because it's so ridiculous, and they're yelling at each other, makes no sense. Then it turns to them coming inside, and Leroy... I always find this the funniest, right? When people are hyped up and they're yelling, and then another person comes in completely calm and cool and just rationally says what's really going on here.
Yeah.
Right? And Leroy comes in and he's super calm and he just says, "Dude, why are you so mad at Bananas when Ashley's the one that took your money?"
Yeah.
Right? Ashley's the one that took your money and you're mad at Bananas. And he's 10,000% right, which then makes Hunter snap even more, which... for some reason, he takes his shirt off, which I didn't really understand.
Well, I think...
but he just takes his shirt off, and he starts, like, hyping up. Security comes out of nowhere, and we have a whole scene happen.
Well, I think Hunter took off his shirt because he wanted to fight Johnny. And then, like, Leroy got in there and was like, yo, like, you need to slow your roll, pump your brakes, and, like, have your focus right. Your focus should be on Ashley. And Leroy's 100% accurate. Like, well, I'm torn on this because in terms
I wrote down, is it true that he should be mad at Ashley, not Bananas, or aren't you allowed to be mad at multiple people?
Yeah, that's fair. You can be mad at multiple people. That is very fair. But my favorite part of this was that at some point, someone has removed Hunter from the room. I don't know if it's security, if it's Wes. I'm not sure. Gorilla Ashley is out there too, possibly because he carried Hunter. I don't know. But Leroy makes this, like, speech to the room, still inside, about how, like, hey, I'm sick of getting called out because I'm friends with Bananas. Like, if you're going to call me out and put me into elimination, like, prepare for the smoke. Because I am not a joke, and I'm tired of it. And everyone applauds, because everyone loves Leroy, as they should. And Hunter...
But the applause made Hunter even more mad.
The applause made Hunter mad. And so he, in a show of his superior athleticism, tries to get around Gorilla Ashley and jump, like, a stair rail to then, like, get inside and, I guess, fight everyone who decided to slap their hands together. But the rail breaks. And so he like
It's
bounces
so funny.
on his stomach
He's like,
on the
"Oh, fuck
railing
that."
and then like falls down the stairs. Oh my
It's so
god,
funny.
what a maroon.
He's so mad. It made no sense. And like the funniest part was Cam's like, first off, Cam's applauding him, and Cam's confessional is, I think Leroy just wants people to put some respect on his name. And hey, more power to that. But also Leroy, it's about time for Leroy to win a challenge for sure. But he can't have guys like Hunter trying to show out or stun on him like that. So I kind of understand where he was coming from in that instance. And also, hey, he has the cast behind him.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that as well. Hunter's temper tantrum continues. Amanda's temper tantrum continues. And poor Jenna. Because Jenna normally stays out of a lot of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, Jenna decided to jump in and say something to Amanda. And it kind of seemed as if she has been mad about something for a while, but this was now her opportunity to like jump in on Amanda while everyone else was jumping in on Amanda. No?
Yeah.
Am I reading that wrong?
No, I think your read of the situation is correct.
But it backfires on Jenna. Because Jenna, well, maybe it didn't backfire because she wanted to know, she's probably been waiting to find out what it is that Amanda has been wanting to say, what Amanda has been teasing on social media. And for those who are unfamiliar, last season, as we mentioned, Zach and Amanda were partners. Obviously, Zach and Jenna are dating, but leading up to the reunion, Amanda tweeted out that she has all these bombshells that she was going to drop at the reunion. And then when the reunion came about, she's like, no, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to ruin someone's life.
Yeah.
So she didn't say anything. So now this was Jenna's opportunity. That's probably been itching at Jenna. She wants to know what it is. And then Amanda finally reveals, as Jenna jumps at her, Amanda says, fine, and then tells her, she reveals that when they were in Africa and it was her, Davon, and Zach in the hotel, Zach was on Bumble.
Yeah.
And showed them. Is this a big deal or no? This is my question for you, John. Is this a big deal? That Zach, like, should Jenna be mad? Is this the bombshell that Amanda was alluding to? What do you think? Big deal or no?
I do think, given that he has had problems with infidelity in the past.
Despite the fact that he said that he would never cheat on her.
Yeah.
And he's never cheated on her. He did say that, right?
Yes. But do you remember that season where she called him and he called her by the wrong name?
Oh, I definitely remember that, yes.
So, but here's the thing. As you know, as our listeners know, it's more important that our listeners know, because this is our lives, Sheldon. You and I know people on the cast. And yes, obviously we've had 5 or 6 people on. But we talk to a few other people who are in the cast, and we just haven't worked out the details of them getting on the show. And I have been told from a reliable source that was not the bombshell that Amanda was originally going to drop.
See, now, I don't know this. This is the first time we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But I literally wrote down, I was like, there's no way that's what Amanda was going to say.
No.
Because that's not a big deal. I mean, would you want your partner to be on Bumble when they're on vacation? Of course not. But there's a lot worse things. Like if that was like, if he followed through with it and I'll say this too, his explanation isn't a good explanation, but it was an explanation that I could understand, right? Like he had the app still on his phone, right?
Yep.
Cool. Single people, when you're single, you have it on your phone. Now you're in a relationship, you probably deleted it, but like it still remains on your phone unless you like delete it.
Yeah.
Do you know does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for him, like I could see a scenario where they're in Africa, they're in a completely different location, and he's like, oh, I wonder what Bumble's like over here, and downloads it on his phone and checks it out. Like I could definitely see that being a scenario, right? Like, so my whole thing was like, do I buy his explanation? I don't know, but it's something that I could understand. I'm not saying that you would still approve of your partner doing that, but I could see that being a scenario where they're all sitting around curious, like, really, is Bumble popping over here? Right? And they were all laughing and wanting to check it out. Also, the fact that Davon was just like, whoa, I'm staying out of all of this, kind of tells me two things. Because Davon seems to be a really nice person.
Yep.
And I think Davon cares about Jenna, right? And so Davon probably knows that, hey, if there was something way worse than happened, I'm staying out of this, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not getting involved because they're not even talking about the bigger issue. But I feel like if it was something that actually, like, let's say it was a bombshell. Oh, Zach cheated. And Jenna's like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Right? Like, if that came out and Davon was like, okay, I'm going to interject here because I care about Jenna or something like that, I could see that happening. But the fact that it was something so stupid and just like drama, like house drama, I applaud Davon for stepping back, and that kind of leads me to believe that it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
The Bumble stuff.
Yeah, the Bumble stuff.
Now what the actual bombshells that, Amanda wants to drop, hey, I don't know anything about that. See no evil, hear no evil. I don't know about that.
So
I can't comment on that.
I will. The other, what I believe to be what I've been told is the actual bombshell. I think if our listeners and you, if you're so motivated, if you go back and watch the scene where Jenna sort of goes after Amanda and she sort of invites Amanda to drop the bombshell, mm-hmm. Jenna didn't think the bombshell was about Zach. Jenna thought the bombshell was about her. And that's all I can say without burning my sources, to use a journalism term.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to respond to that, but that's pretty funny. I'm sure that'll start some like internet rumors and such on our social medias, but peoples, if you are the investigative journalists or internet journalists, let us know what you think, or let me know what you think, because I don't know what John's talking about right now. But I mean, I'm thinking that someone might be able to figure it out.
I'll tell you when we stop recording. How about that, Sheldon?
I don't want you to tell me that.
Oh.
I want to see if this comes to light some other way.
Okay.
I want to be able to see if this comes to light some other way. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to see if this comes to light in a different way.
Okay.
Because the other weird part about this whole thing was their whole argument and Zach saying we're done and this is all dumb, and he's just like, we're done. And then Jenna just capitulates again and she's like, okay, well, we got to just talk about stuff and whatever. They're fine. And that's
it. But here's the thing. It's such a classic. I sometimes like Zach, but it's such a classic, like, shitty move where the fight should be about whether or not he downloaded Bumble, maybe attempted to cheat on her. But what he's doing is he turned the fight around and made it about that she wouldn't give him space.
Yeah.
Like, he made the fight about the fight rather than what it should be about, which is the, like, whole Bumble situation. And, like, that's what he was doing. That's what was going on.
Interesting. Very interesting. And my one question that I will ask, which just a yes or no, but the one question I will ask is, will this storyline continue throughout this season? Like, will this come out during the season?
Like, will the bombshell get dropped? The other one I was alluding to?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a no.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there's going to be other drama.
Which makes sense. But, and I've seen some other, I don't even want to get too far into it because I stumbled upon something online and I kind of read it, but not really. And I don't even want to bring it up, so I won't. But I'll say we'll just pause it there and continue this conversation on a later episode of You Killed It, where I'll be able to better piece together, connect some more dots, let's say.
All right.
Right? So yeah, Bumble. Cool. Jenna and Zach appear to be fine. They sit down and appear to work things out. the bomb is not dropped, and we end up at the killing floor.
Yes.
Which the killing floor is what the elimination round will now be called, or the venue of said elimination round. And the tribunal, here's an interesting twist, which will come into play. Well, it kind of came into play in this voting, but will be a bigger part of the votes and be a more massive strategic part of the votes further on down the season, right? And the tribunal doesn't vote as a team. The tribunal votes individually, which will be an interesting twist, because if you remember last season, obviously biggest part of the drama was Zach and Amanda being unable to agree on who they were going to vote to send in. Now you kind of eliminate that problem, but also create more drama with the numbers by being able to split the votes as a team. So the tribunal, as we mentioned, they end up all throwing out their picks, and it comes down to Josh. And your man's Josh doesn't even side with his partner. Like, it made no sense. Like, why did Josh... do you have an explanation as to why Josh ended up picking Hunter in Georgia and not picking with his partner?
Well, I mean, he would have for sure known that, like, if he voted along with his partner, it would have been a three-way tie.
Cool.
But, like, I still think he could have done things differently.
Well, what's the win here for Josh? That's my question. And I'm asking that question not having an answer for you, because I guess my answer would just be, I told you guys, Josh is a terrible player. Because I don't understand, like, what purpose that served. Like, what was the win here for Josh? That made no sense to me. I don't even understand the logic in which that makes sense.
Yeah. And, like, what's especially weird is his natural alliance would be with Big Brother people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that, in a weird way, includes Kara.
Yes.
So, but he didn't even vote along with Kara, right? Like, Kara voted for Ashley.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it made... I don't understand the logic behind it. I really don't get it. And they didn't... I mean, maybe it becomes a thing in episodes to come, but the only answer I have is that, as I said, Josh is just a terrible player, and it makes no sense. So Josh ends up picking Hunter. Hunter and Georgia end up going in, and Hunter wants all the smoke. He wants a rematch, the revenge elimination round against Ashley. And this sets up a great moment, because for those new to the show of the challenge, and also You Killed It, a little history lesson here. They brought it up on the show, but obviously Ashley and Hunter won last season. Ashley decided to keep all the money herself instead of splitting it with Hunter. Hunter has been pissed off ever since, and now he wants to take Ashley out in the first round. Like, the fact that he had an opportunity to get revenge so early on was great scripting, great scripting. I'm not saying they scripted it, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, the storyline is great in terms of, if you're producing this show, you're like, this worked out perfectly for us. But also just the drama of it, because you can't fake that emotion, right? Like, when you're seeing Hunter is fired up. He's not that good of an actor,
no.
Right? Like, he is hyped up, and you could tell he was stewing over this for the longest time, and he gets to go against Ashley and homeboy from The Bachelor or Bachelorette, Chase. And this was a dope challenge, I thought, right? Where it's called Drone Ball Drop. Is that what it was called, I think?
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a ball. The drone's flying above the air, 30 feet in the air, drops the ball somewhere in the circle. Once the ball bounces, you have to run, catch the ball, run it to the other side, and put it in the other basket to get a point. Best out of 3 wins. So, dope challenge, right? Like, automatically, I thought this was a great challenge, but I want to ask you, who did you think was going to win heading in?
I mean, I honestly, I had it spoiled for me because I couldn't avoid the spoilers.
That's funny.
So
I thought that Hunter was going to win just because I felt that he's going to be so mad, right? Like, we saw him freak out. And if you didn't watch last season's episode or last season of the challenge, just go back and watch the finale. You don't need to watch the whole season, but watch the finale, and especially that final scene, to see how mad in the moment Hunter was when he finds out that Ashley took the money. So then take that moment right there and think about how much more has built up, how many nights he had, how many times he had to go pay a bill of some sort and realize, damn, I should be like $250,000 up right now, right? All of these things. So the way that I was looking at it, I was like, I wrote down, there is no way Hunter is losing this challenge. Not a chance. There's no way he was losing. That was my thought process going in anyways. And I didn't have it spoiled for me. But, I mean, this was the other key part that we should mention, which I think you'll be happy about, was TJ mentions loser goes home. No redemption.
Oh, thank fucking God.
Am I wrong here, John, to think that maybe they just changed the name of it and it's something else? Because that's my first thought. I didn't trust it.
I hope not. I mean, the other thing is... God, I hope not. But the other thing is that they have so many teams and cast members that, like...
True.
Because, like, the Redemption House is obviously was designed to keep that season going long and strong, right? Because I'm not the producer on this podcast, but from a producering standpoint, they know, like, hey, we've got 16 weeks to fill. Or they went even fucking longer last season. We've got 22 weeks to fill. How can we do that? But this season, off the top of my head, I don't know how many pairings there are, but, like, there are 12 teams. No, 16 teams. So, 16 teams, maybe stretch a couple episodes. Like, the finale will be 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. Right there, you're up to already, like, 14 weeks. We're for sure going to have a couple of episodes that go where there isn't an elimination. I think, like, they don't need a Redemption House to stretch it to their weeks of commitment. One thing I really liked was Wes pointed out, you might not like Ashley. She might be mean. She might be toxic. But that doesn't stop her from being a good competitor, because in the first round of her competition with Georgia, she looked like your man Barry Sanders out there. Like, she got the ball on the first hop and just, like, Heisman'd Georgia and was, like, straight to the hoop, no problem. Like, she looked like $1 million out there.
And the thing, too, Georgia leading in, she said her biggest fear is contact sport. I was like, uh-oh, right? And then Ashley gets a super easy bucket, and I kind of thought, oh, okay. But then I relaxed after seeing the next round with Hunter and Chase, because Chase got the ball, and then Hunter, you could tell, he took out all that aggression on Chase. And again, Chase is from The Bachelor, right? Like... He's not ready for that. They're not playing these games on The Bachelor, right?
No.
The Bachelor is a non-contact reality sport, right? So Hunter takes him out. They end up going out of bounds, so they got to do it all over again. And then the next time the ball gets dropped, Hunter gets it and gives him the shimmy shake, or hits the juke button on Madden, and completely shook Chase out of his shorts, right? And just like... Hunter slams the ball in, and he gave a celebration that I was going to say is rarely seen, but the times that we do see it, it comes from Hunter.
Yeah.
Right? He's running around, he's swearing, he's throwing middle fingers in the air, he runs over, he's high-fiving the other contestants.
He almost ran over TJ.
Guy was hype. He did. He was so hype. And I was here for it. I was like, you know what? He was so mad about how it all played out, and this was him letting out all his aggression. Again, all those sleepless nights, all those bills dude has to play. I mean, even in the first round, I saw that. Chase gave the man he kneed him in the head.
Yeah.
Or in the face. Not even in the head, because you got a helmet on, but in the face. And you have a knee pad on, right? So Hunter put in work. And hey, once you put in work, you can celebrate. It's like, I don't know, fans of the NFL Network, you know, Deion Sanders has a segment, when you ball, you get the call.
Yeah.
Right? When you ball, you do whatever you want. Hunter just put in so much work. Hey, Here for it. It was such a dope move too, and how they played it in super slow motion made it look even more sick. I wasn't mad at him. But, John, at the end of the day, though, it still all came down to Georgia versus Ashley, right?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen in this situation now where it comes down to these two?
I did think...
Oh, yeah, I forgot. It was ruined for you. How am I asking you that? I forgot you said that it was ruined for you. So you knew it was going to happen. Sorry, I totally forgot you said that.
But...
My bad.
But...
My bad.
There's a part of me, as competitive... excuse me, as competitive as Ashley is, she's also sometimes a quitter. Because we have seen her, even after she had won her first season, I should say, after we saw her win for the first time, the next season, she quit before the first competition. Yes. And I wonder how much of her said, like, in her heart of hearts, do I really want a season? Like, do I really want to go through the next 6 weeks of fighting with Hunter every day? And like,
well, also too, knowing that she doesn't have the numbers, and she, like, because remember last season they had the Lavender people. She came in middle of the season to begin with anyways. Her and Hunter came in the middle of the season, if we remember correctly. They came into the house in the middle and then had the numbers with the Lavender ladies already doing their thing. And this is a completely different situation. You're in from the beginning with a target on your back from the beginning, and you don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
And you just won. You just won $1 million the last, or $500,000, however much it was, last season. You don't need to put up with this shit. Come for a bit, enjoy the bit of a vacation, and go back home and enjoy your money.
Well, and she even, like, she threatened to throw the competition because she was so angry with Bear. Theo.
Wasn't it Theo?
You're right, it was Theo. My bad. So she was willing to do that. So, like, I'm not calling her a coward, but I can see her being like, hey, I've got a million reasons to go back home.
Yeah, and I mean, even Hunter, when he gave her the big hug, he told her, go home and enjoy your money. I got love for you. I'm always going to have love for you. Like, I thought that was kind of cool and kind of, guard down. He just kind of needed a little bit of retribution.
Yep.
Right? Like, he needed a little bit of something. And then he could acknowledge that he has love for her, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of cool to see.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder, though, if Hunter made a mistake calling out Ashley.
Because he could have used her as for numbers.
Could have used her for numbers. And, like, I know it pissed off Leroy, but there was some logic to him calling out Leroy. Like, in terms of the bigger game, there's something to be said for taking out one of Johnny Banana's allies.
Totally true. But in that challenge, who do you think does well in that challenge? Because that'd be a great matchup.
Yeah.
Him versus Leroy, and that would be a great matchup. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know who wins that challenge, but that would have been a great
we
matchup.
Also have to see...
Bachelor dude, I didn't think had a chance against Hunter.
No. We also have to see how Shailene would do against Georgia.
Also
and
true.
Another episode with Shailene basically not saying anything.
But didn't you find... I found, and this because there's so many people left, I found a lot of people didn't say anything in this episode. Like, when I saw Natalie in the background, like Big Brother Natalie, yeah. I was kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about her. I forgot she was even on this season. Like, I found like there were a lot of people that are just laying super low to the point where you barely even see them at all. Right?
Polly was barely a factor in this episode.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Every episode that we don't hear Polly is a blessing.
Yeah.
But you're right, we didn't hear from Natalie. We barely heard from CT. We barely heard from Davon. We barely heard from Cam. Right? Like,
Chilla.
So it was fine. I have to ask you, though, on the topic of hearing from people, what was the line of the episode for you?
So I'm going to double up here for you, John, and make things super easy for you, because the person who killed it is also the same person who had the line of the episode for me. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is just because I feel like it's intertwined.
Okay.
After Hunter got his bucket, right? After he deked the shit out of Bachelor Homie, they cut away to Ashley, and you can hear Hunter just screaming in the background. She stole money from me. She stole money from my family. She stole money from my little sister. And I was like, this guy is hyped up. And hey, in moments where you need to be great, you need to find motivation from somewhere. So whether that's all true or not, who knows? But in Hunter's mind, that's how he's painted the picture. That's how he needed to paint the picture to be successful and to kill it in this episode and in that challenge. And you know what? Maybe too, that hyped up his girl Georgia as well, right? We don't know. We don't know the analytics on that, right? How much of an effect that had on Georgia as well. So that's my line of the episode. And hey, who killed it? It's obvious. Hunter killed it for me in this episode because, hey, we mentioned it. He had a great challenge episode, right? Performed really well in the elimination round, and also had a pretty funny house episode in terms of creating drama. Did he look pretty good in creating said drama? No, but it was awfully entertaining. And at the end of the day, I watched the show to be entertained, and him trying to jump over that fence or whatever that was, that was pretty damn funny. Him doing the as Jalen Rose puts it, the hold me back. Right? I was entertained by that. It's been a while on the challenge. So, hey, solid episode all around for Hunter. Hunter, you killed it. What about you, John?
I feel like the line of the episode belongs to Ashley when she sort of has to go in front of the tribunal and she goes, "Is this where I admit all my sins? This is going to take a long time." Definitely had that line queued up. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely had it prepped, but it was a good line, and I ain't mad at her for it. But I agree with you that the competitor who killed it was Hunter. Because we found out that he's in an alliance with Wes, which I think is the best move available for him. I think that obviously getting vengeance is good for him, and really, although I'm not sure in the long run about that missed opportunity of maybe getting the numbers on his side in terms of like the conflict with Johnny Bananas, getting Ashley out of the house and getting that distraction out of the house because she is his kryptonite, I think that is also for the best in the long run.
No, I totally agree with you there. Totally agree. Great episode by him. Great job in pairing up with Wes. And I'm excited to see what happens next week because we end the episode where TJ says there's another twist, which is the relic. Who knows what that means? We got to look at the trailer for next week's episode, which, the challenge looks crazy. It looks kind of like another football-esque type challenge where there's tackling involved. So that looks, like a great challenge as well. Amanda mentions that she might stab a bitch. and then they end with the font popping up on the screen that a legend is going home. So, hey, I'm in. I'm in. Totally in. Great episode. I liked, again, back to basics. Giving me a full episode of the challenge, some house drama, a full actual challenge, and an elimination all in one episode. All in.
I'm going to say it right now. I think the legend that gets eliminated is Johnny Bananas.
Woo! Wow. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
We will remember this. And people, hey, if you're listening right now, let us know what you think as well. I guess when's the episode air? Wednesdays?
Wednesday night.
So let us know. I should be able to live tweet the episode, I think. If I remember correctly, this Wednesday. I think I'm going to try to. But either way, tweet at us as you always do. Let us know what you guys think. Who is a legend going home? Also, send us your suggestions on what you think the line of the episode is, who killed it, all that stuff. Send us those things too, because we'll read them on a future episodes as well, right? We want to hear from the people.
Always.
As always, right?
Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on social media tweeting probably too much about the Toronto Raptors at Shell Alexander, and you can find me on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander.
And you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at J Chidley Hill. And I will also probably be tweeting about the Raptors, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Canadian golf, because that's how we make the money. Until next week, this was You Killed It.
You killed